Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals.
And on this episode, we are discussing cumin questions for new vegans. Cumin questions for new vegans, also known as common questions for new vegans.
Sometimes I'm like, don't laugh, don't laugh. Just
Yeah.
don't give into it.
I try to think of ones that'll make you laugh. I think I didn't do a good job this time. I'll do better next time. Should we start recording and try? I can try it again.
No,
Okay,
no. Common questions for new vegans. So these are the things that you are asking when you decide to go vegan, maybe right before, right after, whatever. These are things that you're going to encounter as you're kind of navigating this new lifestyle and how that changes things for you. We went a little crazy with these questions. Some of the answers will be a little bit shorter because we have whole episodes about them. Some of our answers will be a little bit longer. So we're going to give you about 15 common questions that new vegans usually have. And of course, we want to hear what your questions are if we don't include them in this episode.
Some of these can be questions maybe you've been vegan for a while and you're having them, or you went vegan
Right.
for a bit and you fell off the wagon. Yeah, fell off the wagon, and then you're not sure. So yeah, it can relate to not just new vegans. So if you've been vegan for a while, stick around.
Yeah,
Might
yeah.
learn something new about yourself.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so let's just dive in. The first one, how can I make sure that I get the right amount of vitamins, nutrients, and protein? So it's really interesting. I think when you go vegan, sometimes you then suddenly automatically give a shit about your nutrition. Like, you never asked these questions before. Probably.
I think it's because you get asked them a lot.
Yes.
Like
So
once you tell someone you're vegan, they all of a sudden they become a nutritionist.
yes.
Same thing. It's like, well, how can you get your vitamin K1734? Right? What are you talking? Yeah. And it starts questioning. I think it starts, especially when you're vegan, starts questioning too. Like, oh my god, how am I gonna get this? How am I gonna get that? So
Right. And then it's also, you've probably heard horror stories of people that have tried to go vegan and then just couldn't do it because they were so malnutrition.
right.
And that's because they were not eating properly. They were just eating crap. So, of course, that is a question you're going to ask immediately. Like, how do I make sure that I'm getting the right balance so that I'm not off on something that causes some sort of crazy reaction?
Right. And a lot of times people you'll hear like, well, I tried going vegan or tried doing plant based once and my hair got dry or my skin was dry, I was tired, my nails got brittle. And they think it's the vegan diet that does it, not the fact that they're just eating salads or they're just, eating veggie burgers and fries. Like, yeah, of course you're high
Right.
fat, you're having too much fat, not enough fat, you're not having enough, B12s and these vitamins that you normally get, which we'll talk about later on. Best thing about it too is that if you're having a well balanced primarily whole food plant based, and you will say I try to stick with mostly whole food plant based. And whole food plant based, to clarify, is you're not eating things that have been processed, that you're eating part of something. So oil
Right.
is not a whole food; it's
Right.
part of something, right? But avocado, that's your whole food. You get the fats from that. Now, I'm not anti-oil. I don't use that much.
Right.
Primarily because like high cholesterol is part of my family, so I try to do the whole foods to help reduce that. But yeah, if eating a whole food plant based diet, it will ensure you're going to get more of your nutrients, things like that, especially eating a wide variety.
And you can also track. So David does a lot of tracking of what he eats to make sure that he gets the right vitamins, nutrients, and proteins. And yes, and I should be doing the same thing. I know we've talked about this. It's a lot of work to like enter things in. Okay, I'm lazy. But if this is a big concern of yours, there's a lot of like apps and systems that you can put into place to track to make sure that you're hitting all of the right marks that you need to, right? Which one do you use?
I use, oh my god,
Chrome.
Uh, uh, co- Chronometer. So I
Chronometer?
always stutter on trying to say it. Chronometer. Good job. There's also
Yes.
MyFitnessPal will do it too. It's
Yes,
Chronometer
that's a
is
good
much
one.
more specific on just like diet, where MyFitnessPal is diet and exercise. So you
Mm-hmm.
get much more information from a Chronometer. They have an app and a web, and it all connects to their website. Um,
Yeah.
I always suggest new vegans track.
Yes.
I suggest anyone track initially, just to see who you are. Now, I would say this: if you have an eating disorder, don't track. It can
Yes.
really cause problems if you have past issues with eating disorders. But if you don't have an eating disorder, or you feel like you're in a mental space where it's not going to trigger, I suggest you track. You don't have to track forever. I always think it's fun. I think it's like a game to me, right?
And the tracking is more for the vitamins,
Right.
the protein. It's not for like, I mean, yes, I guess in the long run calories are important, run. I mean, if tracking that is like triggering for you, you can just focus on vitamins
Right.
and making sure that you're hitting all of the right ones, because there are our very next question, some things that you might be missing
Right.
from your plants, but you want to make sure you're hitting everything that you can with what you're eating. But just keeping a better eye on what you're eating. Again, like David said, whole foods, mixing it up, adding different things. Like I know they always say like eat the rainbow when you talk about your food, but that is really important.
Absolutely.
Like like a colorful plate usually means more vitamins and nutrients because it's a bunch of plants, bunch of varieties of plants too.
Yeah, and then I know because this is a long one, but
Mm-hmm.
I always say track it for a short period of time at least, so that it gives you an idea. Because you put it in, you're like, oh my god, I'm like not eating, I'm getting no nutrition at all. I'm like, yeah, because you're
Right.
probably eating a very limited diet. And once you track, you notice you're consistently hitting your numbers. You may be over on some days, under others, which is fine. Um, but once you realize, oh, I'm able to like, I'm not just eating apples. I'm eating apples and bananas and berries, and I'm
Right.
variety of diet. I know how to put my meals together. Um, in all honesty, if you're not hitting your vitamins, nutrients, and minerals on a plant-based diet, you aren't hitting on an animal-based diet either. Because the only
Exactly.
thing you change really
Exactly.
is your proteins and maybe your dairy if you consume an amount of dairy. But generally speaking, most of your vitamins, nutrients, and minerals, because like there's proteins, amino acids, things like that. But most of those are coming from plants anyway. So if you were not eating a plant-based diet and then you switch to it and you notice you're missing them, you were missing them before.
You definitely were,
So
for
so
sure.
in any context, you're going to actually improve your overall health anyway by tracking that and realizing, oh man, I've been really missing on this, and you may even notice a change in how you feel because you're actually getting a higher level of nutrition.
Right. And the things that you are missing from food, you can get from supplements. And that's our second question. What are the most important supplements for vegans? Now, we have a whole episode about this
Yeah.
exact topic. So, episode number 20 is all about supplements for vegans, where we talk about B12, vitamin D, iodine, omega 3, and we also mentioned protein on that episode as well. But those are the biggest ones for vegans to focus on to make sure that you are getting the best health that you can have, especially the B12 and vitamin D. I feel like those are ones that people talk about a lot that you definitely need to include in your diet. So go to that episode 20. That was a long time ago.
Yes.
There's one episode I'm
Wow,
about to
back.
mention that is like from the beginning, you guys. It's so weird. This is so weird.
Vitamin B12, vitamin D, even meat eaters tend to be low on too. So it's not even a
Yeah,
vegan thing. So
right, exactly. But those are the supplements we recommend to help you make sure you have a well-rounded nutritional health.
yeah.
All right, let's talk about question number 3. How do I respond to family and friends when they ask questions? We have another question further down on this list that's a little similar to this, but this is mainly just overall, how do you respond to questions? Um, and we have a whole episode on this. Episode number 2. 2, David.
Yeah.
Two.
Wow.
2.
Back in my day.
We're like in
Yeah.
the late 60s, early 70s now. So, because we have a bunch recorded already.
Oh,
So,
we're in disco.
yes, we are. So in episode 2, we talked all about telling your family you've gone vegan and how to handle that situation. So that will definitely help you answer some of those questions. But basically what we said in that episode is be honest. Educate yourself as much as you can so that you can come to the table with answers. Have answers, but you don't have to indulge. You don't have to have the conversation if you don't want to, especially if it gets to be, aggressive in any way. Especially if the people just want to argue. You don't have to answer their questions, but if they are just curious, making sure that you have simple answers that answer everything that they're asking so that maybe there aren't as many follow-up questions so you can get out of the conversation. I always think of like, how can I give you the full, like, I'm thinking like, what's your next question going to be? So I can just do both at the same time. But I'm sure David has some tips on that too.
I mean, I've been doing this for so long. I had so many debates. I just ask people, do you really want to have this conversation with me? I tell us, like, I've been vegan for 10 years. Like, I've had a lot of these conversations before we both get tired of each other. Do you really want to go into this? And every single time they go, not really. Like, okay.
No.
I've never had someone go, yeah. Sure, let's do it, because they realize this is gonna be exhausting. He knows
it is gonna be exhausting.
You can just tell somebody no. Like, you have questions, like, just like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
That here's the thing. If someone's being an ass, you being an ass back doesn't make them less of an ass. Now you're both being an ass.
Yeah.
Right? If someone's being a dick about it or an ass about it or whatever, you can choose to not engage, not indulge them. But like, well, you're just you can't live on, like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Just, it's fine. If you're I don't indulge arguments unless the person's being stupid. I can just scold them because I think it's funny. But generally speaking,
David does love to school somebody.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, go ahead. Yeah, that's dumb. Here's why. But I had someone tell me that you need protein, carbohydrates. Makes no sense. Those are not even the same thing.
Not the same thing.
I was like, what? Yeah, you need protein, carbohydrates.
Oh, you need an
proteins
education.
don't have those are different micro anyway. But yeah, unless I have enough knowledge, should we just school them on something? I'll just say, like, I don't talk about it. I'll get into it. If somebody's inquisitive, like they want to know, like, oh, you don't eat chicken? No. Well, what if, like, you want chicken dumplings? You want like that for like winter, or like chicken soup? You don't feel good. What do? Oh, they want to know. They're asking. They're being inquisitive. Right. Oh, I do this and this. I make a really good like chicken noodle soup, which I had a cold a few weeks ago. I made chicken noodle soup. Super good. By the way, I make really good chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And so if I find people are being inquisitive, just want to know or understand, let them know if you have the information. If you don't know, it's like, I'm not quite sure. I'm still learning. But if they're being an ass, just don't give in to it. It's not worth it. Unless you've been doing it for a long time, you have the knowledge, you can just fire it. Don't do it. It's really not worth your effort.
It's really not. But go back to episode 2 and listen to that, because we gave you some great advice on handling family and friends when they have questions. So definitely go listen to that. And while you're listening to former episodes, let's go to question 4. How do I handle social situations? Ooh, my mouth did not work. Like
handle social situations.
Handle social situations. We have 2 episodes that really fit this. So episode 32 talks about going out to eat as a vegan, and 34 says going to events as a vegan. So both of these episodes are actually very popular among our listeners. I think this is an issue that a lot of people encounter. We have talked to several people throughout the last 2 years. As of Thursday, let's just segue for a second. 2 years of this podcast. As of October 13th was when our first episode came out.
Yeah.
So happy 2 years. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, we gotta do something.
I know, it's so excited.
I'm seeing you soon. Cool. We'll do something. We'll have a cake or something.
I'm excited. Oh my gosh. Now I don't even know what I was talking about, because I just thought that was so cool. I noticed it the other day. I was like, where have I been? So there's a lot of we've interviewed a lot of people throughout the last 2 years, and we've had quite a few of them say that the biggest issue that new vegans encounter, and even experienced vegans, is social situations and how to navigate that, how to handle going out with friends, going to a wedding, going to like a social or a sporting event. All of those things are covered in episode 32 and 34, but I'll give you like a little synopsis. Be prepared. So call ahead to a restaurant if that's where you're going. Research their menu. Every place has their menu online for the most part, and you can see what they have before you have to go there. Let people know ahead of time. If you're going out with friends and you know they're cool, let them know, hey, I've gone vegan. I hope that doesn't screw things up. Like, can we work around this? And usually, most times, people are cool. If they're not cool, they're not your friends. Dump them. Bring your own food. That's my favorite tip. Bring your own
Fuck 'em. There
food
you go.
because
Tip.
a lot of, oh, okay. Ignore that the phone's ringing. A lot of times you need to bring your own dish, and that's just how things are. Friend get-togethers, sometimes you need to bring your own dish. That just makes things easier, right? And when in doubt, if you're ever questioning whether you're going to have something to eat when you go out with your friends or you go to an event, just assume you won't.
Yeah.
And bring your own food or eat beforehand.
Yeah. The thing I was gonna say is, one, understand you're probably the odd one out. Get used to that a little bit. I think that's one of like the hard truths of being plant-based, especially in today's society right now, is you're gonna be different. Get used to that. You're gonna be the weird one. You're gonna be the odd one out. You're gonna be the one that's not what's to be sitting there eating French fries and everybody else is eating dinner. Get used to it. It's sometimes it's easy. Like, I'm kind of used to being weird. So it's like, whatever, I don't care. But if it's not used to it, it can be a little bothersome. Just kind of something you kind of got used to. Be like you said, be prepared to have no options.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, we meet every now and then, and we'll go see like a movie in Atlanta, like at this like little B movie theater. Sometimes we go to a pizza place where there's a vegan option, and the past few times we've gone to this restaurant where there is literally nothing. I have French fries and tater tots. That's it. We sit down, he orders his whatever, and we get a couple drinks. I order 2 things of tater tots, 2 things of French fries, and that's what I eat. But it's okay.
Sometimes you make do.
And I know there's no options, but it's an environment that he likes, and sometimes we go places that I like and have an option, and it's fine. I understand that. He's awesome friend. He actually makes sure he tries. Like, you sure we go there, man? There's nothing for you. Can we take? He'll tell the server he's vegan. There are any options? I'm like,
oh, that's cute.
Bro. Oh yeah, he's a cool dude, man. So, but he looks out, which I appreciate. So,
right.
But prepared for no options. Prepared to eat beforehand, like you said, or but they got fries. You know, many a vegan have eaten very vinegar oil salad with baked potato, man, and salad and potato. That's what it is.
Oh crap!
But things
are getting better out there, folks.
They're getting better. Calling ahead, understanding you're the odd one out in situations. Don't make a stink. Don't get all pissy.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right.
Like, so this is bullshit. No, don't. Okay.
No. That just makes everyone look bad.
You're surrounded by omnivores. You're the only plant-based one.
Yep.
Don't be that guy or that girl or that person. I apologize.
There you go.
Don't be that person. Just understand you might be the odd one out. May not have an option. You're gonna have to work with it.
That's fine.
But you're also bear in mind what you're doing, whether it's for your health, whether it's for the planet, whether it's for the animals, whatever it is. Be in mind why you do it. Understand sometimes you may not have an option. So I just
and your friends should be cool. They should be cool with your decisions on what you put in your body.
Yeah.
So remember my tip. If they're not, dump them.
Exactly.
To listen to episode 32 and 34 to learn a little bit more about handling social situations. All right, question number 5. Is it okay to make this switch slowly? We have encouraged this since the first episode. Absolutely. Absolutely. One step at a time or all at once, it doesn't matter. As long as you start to eliminate animal products, that's all that matters.
Yep. If it takes you 5 minutes or 5 months, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Animals don't care how long it took you or why you did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, if you say, okay, I'm gonna go pescatarian, okay, pescatarian. If you say, I'm gonna go flexitarian, then pescatarian, then vegetarian, then great, you made a transition. It takes time. I know people are like, it's all in or nothing, and that's unreasonable.
Yeah, it's so unreasonable. Like, you can slowly go into it. It's not. You don't have to rush. You don't have to be like me, who did it just like that.
Most major changes in your life, you're never gonna jump all full in on.
Very true.
Even if you're like, I'm gonna move,
Good
I'm gonna
point.
move to Europe. You don't just, people do. You don't pack and move to Europe. You go take a trip. Do you like the weather? Where in Europe? Let's find a house. You take the
Right.
time to find out where you're gonna live. If I was gonna move to Tennessee, I wouldn't just like pack my shit and move. I'd go, where in Tennessee do I want to be? Where's the vegan options? And I have to plan it to some degree. Even if
That's a
you're
great
a
point.
spontaneous person, you still go find plane tickets, pack a bag. It's not you just so. Major life changes. It's understandable for you to take time. Some people at different paces. Some people can go all in. Some people could just buy a ticket and go to the airport and leave. And it's like, I'll buy clothes when I get there. Some people did like that. I was flexitarian, and then I made the transition. Then I did a transition.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with taking some baby steps.
No. And you know what? Sometimes your body is actually happier when you take baby steps.
Yeah,
So
especially your
that's
gut.
totally fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, your gut will thank you.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest complaint.
Yeah. So I mean,
My
it's fine.
gastrointestinal problems are abundant. Yeah, wash your beans.
Yes,
Wash
your beans.
wash your beans and anything canned legumes and all that. Wash those. Wash them. Wash them
God.
before you cook them. It will help.
Yes, it will help.
There's an extra tip there.
There you go. That is an extra tip. Okay. Next question. This is really a David thing, but
Yeah.
because you love to talk about the subject.
do.
But what about soy? So soy gets a bad rap, and there's probably a lot of misinformation out there that new vegans encounter when
Yeah.
they start looking into what veganism is. And especially if you identify as male, then you probably have heard all kinds of stupid things about how soy makes you more feminine, and that's just silly. But we have talked about this, but I couldn't remember which episode. I think it was on the dairy episode we talked about this.
You mentioned soy, I'll bring it up. So
Yes.
all of them. Listen to every episode. It probably 2/3. I go soy. I was complaining about it. Yeah. So
Cracks me up.
if you ask people about soy, I'll do it again for those who
Okay.
are new. If you ask about soy, if you bring up soy, they're gonna be told, and a lot of times, especially like dude bros, will tell you that it increases your estrogen, decreases your testosterone, gives you man boobs, causes cancers and all this stuff, right? That's not true.
Nope.
Soy does have phytoestrogen. That is accurate. Phytoestrogen is 1/1000th the size of mammalian estrogen. It actually can reduce the absorption of estrogen and has shown in some cases to increase testosterone because of that blockage. I've talked about before. I know I'm talking nonchalant because I've done this so many times. I've talked before about Brian Turner, who is a vegan fitness model. He does like fitness competitions, and he did a whole thing where I saw he ate with soy. He got his blood tested, ate nothing but soy for like 30 days, I think, something like that, 2 weeks, 30 days, and then had blood tested again. His estrogen went down, testosterone went up. So whenever somebody brings it up, I say no.
Just
I always say the
say
same
his
thing.
name.
Same thing. Nope, it's phytoestrogen. Phytoestrogen is 1/1000 size of estrogen. It doesn't absorb, and it doesn't. It has to connect to the. It's like a key and a lock. It has to connect to the part of your brain or your body that absorbs that. I can't remember the medical term now. It doesn't connect. It's 1/1000 the size. When it does connect, it doesn't absorb the same way. And if you drink or consume dairy, you're actually ingesting mammalian estrogen. So whoever tells you that and they drink dairy, consume dairy, their point is moot. It doesn't matter. They're literally consuming mammalian estrogen, and they're complaining about you taking plant estrogen. They're not the same thing. That's it. That is it.
There you go. Now you don't have to research anything. No, we encourage you to. I'm just saying that was a great one.
Oh, okay.
David loves his soy rant.
I'll calm down.
But yes, that's an easy one to squash. So there's that. Question number 7. How can I make sure I feel full and satisfied? So there is kind of the I don't know, what do you call it? Oh, well, my brain's not working. Not wrong assumption. There is the assumption. I don't know. I don't know what the word is.
We'll go with that.
There's the myth. that vegans are hungry all the time, that all we eat are salads, and we
Yeah.
just are so malnourished. We're just like never full, never happy. And that's just crazy talk. So we're going to go back to what question was that? Number one. So eating that well-balanced whole foods, plant-based diet, that'll definitely keep you full because you are getting that wide variety of food, right? So my favorite tip is always to create your favorite meals by just making them vegan. So that always makes me feel satisfied. And they can be like those comfy, hearty meals. So I make a killer shepherd's pie, and it is now fall. So I need to bust it out again. But I make a killer shepherd's pie. So of course I made that vegan immediately because I love it so much. And that makes me feel so happy and satisfied and full and just good that I'm like, okay, what other things did I love before I went vegan that I can now make in a healthy, cruelty-free way? So I focus on kind of just not reinventing the wheel. It doesn't have to be a new recipe. It just has to be a vegan version. So make your favorite meals. And then my last tip is to eat more. A lot of people will look at the size of their plate and not what is on the plate. So there could be a whole crap ton of greens on your plate, and your plate could be freaking overflowing. And you're going to be like, I have ate so much now, but really you probably need more than that. You need more than that. So eat more, because a lot of people are just like, vegetables don't have a whole lot of calories. So like there's a lot of people that are just not getting enough calories when they go vegan. And that's when you feel weak and you don't feel as happy and satisfied. And that's when you go back to the bad side.
Right.
Oh,
I think.
I don't want to do that.
Well, I think because like what I tell people a lot is plant-based diets tend to be higher in nutrition and lower in calorie. Tend to be
Right.
That was true. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And animal-based diets tend to be the other way around. They tend to be higher in calorie and lower nutrition. That's not true for everyone.
Right.
But if you're eating a traditional, well, I could say a traditional American diet or a traditional diet where it tend to be lower in fruits and vegetables, you tend to be higher in like breads, grains, animal proteins, cheese, dairies, that sort of stuff. You're higher caloried, so you're getting mostly full from the animal product, right? I mean, even if you're eating like mac and cheese, you're eating cheese, it's going to be higher because it's fat, and fat has has 9 calories per gram. So you're going to have a higher calories by eating a traditional animal-based diet. So yeah, you put. As I'll tell people, like if you like eating, go vegan because you can eat like a lot more. Because you can have
Yes.
a lot because you're
Yes.
doing a lot more greens and zucchinis and squash and broccoli
Yes.
and beets and radishes, blah blah blah. So bell peppers. Oh,
We're
bell
hungry.
peppers. I am very hungry. It's 10 o'clock. I haven't eaten dinner yet. But man, I'm hungry. Anyway, but yeah, it tend to eat more. There's foods that tend to be voluminous, broccoli, things that are fibrous too, and grain like rice, quinoa. They tend to absorb and expand. So like rice, quinoa, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, stuff like that. Those are going to be a little fibrous, so they're not going to make you feel a little more full. But generally speaking, is if you're within your calorie range and you're hungry, just eat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just a general life thing. Just eat. Your body will say if you feel hungry, you're either thirsty or you're really hungry. If you think you've eaten enough for the day, within reason. Again, if you have eating disorders, this isn't for you. You have a completely different mental health thing you're working with. It's a different thing. But if you're like, I've eaten a good amount today, man, but I'm kind of hungry still. Drink some water. You're probably dehydrated.
Right.
If you're drinking water, you feel like you're hydrated. Have a snack. Eat.
Yes. Eat more.
Like, especially in today's society, we're all like, "Oh, you shouldn't eat. You shouldn't eat. Eat
Right,
Eat
exactly.
Food. Eat food. Don't be ridiculous. If you snacky, if you have goals, if you're trying to lose weight, maybe that's a little different. You want to drink more water. Coffee. If you drink coffee is really good because caffeine is actually appetite suppressant. But generally speaking, eat food. Eat food. If you're really worried about your diet and you're gonna eat like celery and cucumbers and just eat vegetables and again very low in calorie, high nutrition. It'll fill you up, and you're not going to throw you off your diet if that's what you're working on. So.
It's so it sounds crazy to people that aren't vegan, but when you eat plants and someone mentions a cucumber and suddenly you're like, cucumber. Like, that's weird.
Yeah,
that's so weird to other people. I love cucumbers.
I think cucumbers are like if I can dip them in something or something a little extra on it. But if it's just by itself, I can't do it.
I can hand my daughter a cucumber and she will just munch on it like it's a banana.
I can't do that.
Like raw dog that thing. She loves it.
I can't.
I love cucumbers just plain. I don't understand why you have to dip everything.
I love dipping stuff though, especially soup and sandwiches. But cucumbers and tomatoes, I can't do that with tomatoes either. I can't.
Yeah, you're not a big tomato guy.
I like tomatoes, but on things. Like you can't. If you hand me tomatoes, try this tomato. I'll eat it, but I'll look like I'm in pain because it's like so strong. It feels like somebody's like taking like the strongest sugar and gave me a spoonful of it. That's what it tastes like.
Oh, that's wild.
Like,
it is wild what happens to our taste buds.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. What do I have to look for on labels besides for like dairy or meat, obviously? So there are things that you may not realize, like the word whey means milk. WHEY. Literally, I mean, some people just don't know that. So that's something you have to look out for. Gelatin is actually like pork products. So don't eat gelatin unless it says vegetable based, which there is vegan Jello. I've never made it, but
it's made from agar.
Yes, which is the weirdest word. Is this casein? Is that how you say that?
Casein.
Casein. I knew that was wrong. Which is essentially just a milk protein. So it's another way of saying milk, just like whey. I mean, there's just like a bunch of like little hidden words that you might skip right over as a new vegan and not be like, I don't know what, not be worried about it. The red dye from insects. How do you say that word?
Oh my God. I can't.
Carine? Kirin? Oh, God.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it either.
Okay. All right. CARINE. You can see that in a lot of like candies and things like that. And it's red dye, but it's from insects. So no, you don't want that either.
Yeah.
Is it like beetles or something like that?
Yeah.
So awful.
Shellac is another one to watch out for.
Yes.
Shellac is like a shiny coating is made from beetles as well.
Vitamin D3, you'll see that in orange juice sometimes, and that's usually fish liver oil or like fish-based vitamin D3, so be careful on that one as well. That I did not know, and I was vegan for months, and I told you I ate orange juice, and you were like, Megan? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
You'll learn.
They also get it from sheep's wool.
Yes. And then honey. And I only put that on here because if you are new to being vegan, you may not even realize that honey is not a vegan option. That seems to shock non-vegans quite frequently. Like they lose their mind when I mention that. It's like, I don't understand. I don't know why that's the thing that really makes you freak out. But so I put that on this list just because you may not realize that that's not a vegan option. David, do you have any other things to look for on labels?
I mean, it kind of hits them all. I mean, again, because anything that has milk or whey in it, so yeah, you haven't hit them all.
Good, yay, go me.
Yeah,
I'm so amazing.
It's really gonna stand out. Or anything that has the vegan symbol or says plant based on it. That's usually okay. If it's plant-based, sometimes it means it might have a little dairy or egg in it.
Yes, you should check.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty good. And the Veganuary vegan label guide we have there.
Yes, I'm going to include a link that has a really good guide for you guys to follow. Okay, next question. How can I keep costs down? So there is also a myth that going vegan is expensive. And it can be if you buy one-off specialty items, which
Right.
is one thing I put a lot of to avoid. So like you'll find, vegan baked goods or things in the freezer area that are really convenient, quick, easy vegan food. That's going to be expensive. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. Those things are pretty expensive sometimes. They are getting cheaper the more that people obviously buy them, but they are pretty expensive sometimes. So if you again eat that whole food plant-based diet, you're focusing more on vegetables and less one-off products, buying in bulk. And guess what? We have an episode about this. Oh my gosh, episode 51, tips on saving money as a vegan. We're pretty amazing.
We really are. I didn't want to say it, but we totally are.
So buying in bulk is something we talked a lot about on that episode because it's a really great way to keep costs down. You could buy beans, rice, all kinds of stuff in bulk.
Frozen is
Pla-
another great way.
yes, plan ahead. So being able to meal prep ahead of time can kind of help you find things that are on sale or be able to kind of just save as you're going because you're planning ahead. So there's a whole bunch of tips in episode 51. David, do you have any extra ones to add?
Yes, I was saying earlier, Frozen, another good one. You need to buy, get
Yes.
a large volume.
Like frozen vegetables and fruit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I use frozen berries for smoothies every morning.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. Frozen. I like frozen for things I don't need the texture for.
Yeah.
If you need crunch or you need something that's be kind of like like kind of like al dente kind of vibe, not the best. Go for fresh. But if you do like soups and stews, mixing into sauces stuff like that, I go with frozen.
Yes.
But
And then I would say look at Costco for things like that
Yeah.
because we have an episode about that too,
We
but I
do.
don't know the number off my head.
I tend
But
to-
also you go to Aldi's, they have cheap frozen veggies as
oh
well.
yeah, I go to Kroger. I can get like a bag of frozen veggies for like $1. It's awesome.
I don't know why I avoid Kroger like the plague.
Oh man, that's
I don't know why.
we need to do a
I
Kroger
gotta
episode.
go.
We need to do a Kroger episode. I can show you what's
We
up at
haven't
Kroger.
yet either. And I know, and I think it's just because I had one really bad episode experience
Yeah.
at a Kroger, and I just now I'm blind.
We'll
I
have to
don't
go.
even
I
realize
gotta
it's a
take you
grocery
there.
store anymore.
I'll take it. You can be like, what the fuck? But I keep like frozen mixed veggies in the fridge,
Mhm.
spinach, broccoli usually, and a few other things. Especially if you're like hungry, you're like I don't feel like cooking dinner.
Yes.
You can build a bunch of you can put rice, a bunch of frozen vegetables, and some sauce, and you have a dinner. It's gonna be like
Yes, and the
the-
sauce can change.
yeah, it's gonna be the best thing ever. Not because it's frozen veggies. They're not gonna be as crispy and crunchy, but
Right.
it's dinner. It's whole food, plant based. It's healthy. It's good.
You'll be full. You'll be
You'll
happy.
definitely be full up front because you can put as much as you want on it.
Yep. Okay, next question. What are some easy to find protein sources?
Yeah. So people tend to where do you get your protein? Like that's the the stereotypical question we still get sometimes, even though it's gotten better. I think at least on
Yeah.
that side. And this goes back to your protein, like I said. So what is beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, seitan. You can make your own. I make my own seitan ribs, so totally good.
I'm going to make a quick tangent. If you haven't seen Hocus Pocus 2, you should. There's a vegan joke and it's fucking hysterical. I lost my mind in a
Okay,
room
I haven't
full of
seen
people.
it yet. I haven't seen it yet, so
It's so funny.
keep doing that. I haven't seen it.
So good.
I'm messing with you. Seitan, soy, obviously I'm okay with. So tofu, tempeh, vegan. There's vegan burgers, vegan sausages of different price ranges. If that again, that's a whole. It's not. It's those are all usually seitan based. But again, making your own is actually pretty easy at the time. But yeah, it's. But I think the most easiest ones to get, because seitan and can be a little difficult, but your beans, your nuts, your seeds, legumes like lentils, black beans, chickpeas, you can add those to almost anything. Chilies, you can take black beans and kind of grind them up a little bit and make them like ground meat if you want to do seitan. If you're trying to avoid wheat, you can do that.
Mhm.
You can use chickpeas to make chicken salad or tuna salad.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really easy to do. There's tons of recipes. So there's no really, if you don't know how to do it. And honestly, if you don't have time, say if anything you want to make, just look up quick vegan whatever, and there's like, like you can make a tuna fish sandwich with chickpeas. It'll take you like 3 hours to make and marinate this and add a dash of this. It'll be really good. Be like, I got like 15 minutes. There's a 15-minute version of that.
Yeah,
and it's like
there is
chickpea, vegan mayo, a little bit of something salty, and it's about done. That's it. So yeah, it's
you love seitan and I love tofu.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
like seitan.
tofu
Oh,
girl.
shit, I
God, I love it so
So good,
much.
so
So
good.
good.
so good.
We should get shirts. Maybe like seitan boy.
So soy boy say, I like that seitan boy. It's funny.
I like it.
Yeah, too.
Oh, I'm funny. Okay. Next question, number 11. I tried being vegan once, but I was always hungry and or tired. Why? Which we
Yeah.
kind of talked about, but this is a good one.
The more direct, yeah. And I actually have
Yeah.
gotten this a lot. People are like, oh, you're vegan? I go, yeah. Like, I tried being vegan once. I was always tired. It just wasn't feeling good. I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't for me. Which is like, trust me, plants are for you. That makes sense. Like unless you have, some sort of disease or hormonal issue, plants are for you. You're opportunistic omnivore. That's why they're for you. I always tell people the same thing. I was eating a lot. What were you eating? Oh, I would just have I get in the morning, have a smoothie, and then I'd snack at lunch, like some like trail mix and whatever. And then if you don't have this big salad, like, yeah, you're eating like 800 calories a day.
Yeah.
Of
That's
course
exhausting.
you were starving. Of course you were starving.
Jesus. Oh,
Right? Like, what are you doing?
God,
Like,
your
even
poor
like,
body.
I have to be in the mood for a salad. Like, I have to really be one right. I don't really
Me
like salad.
too.
Right. But then I get like I'll go Salada, right?
Mhm.
You know you do too, right?
Oh, I haven't been there in so long.
There's one down the road from me. I went there the other day, and it's like I get peas and black eyed peas, falafel. I'll get pumpkin seeds,
Mhm.
avocado, like all this, and it's like it's big. It's a big salad, but
Right.
it's more than a dinner's worth. Probably too many calories for what I do with it. But this thing, everyone who I've ever talked to who has said they were tired or they couldn't get full and like that, they just weren't eating enough. They
Yeah.
thought, okay, I eat vegetables now. And they were just like
Mhm.
eating salads and snacking
And I
on
feel like
celery.
people get
like-
scared of healthy fats. They're just like, ooh,
Yeah.
the word fats
right.
in any way freaks people out. And they're like, no, can't have that. No, please do. Please do.
Yeah, eat your nuts, eat your seeds. So watch your truck.
Your avocado, please.
And if you're watching your weight, be mindful. Because again, like I've talked about before,
Yes.
you have 9 calories for every gram of fat. So if you're watching your diet, you might want to have less avocado. You may want to have less nuts and seeds. You may want to, whatever. So it depends on what your plans are, what your goals are. But yeah, if you have previous experiences, you're likely not eating enough. So eat more. Just
Yeah.
don't just eat salads. And it's likely if you're hungry, you probably, because there's certain, and I'm kind of tangenting here on this one. There are certain things that you need to be satiated. So sometimes you will be
Mhm.
hungry because you aren't satiated, because your body needs certain
Exactly.
things. So you may not be hungry. Your body needs more vitamins and minerals and nutrients because you're not providing it. So it's hungry. Protein. If you're not getting a protein, you will feel
Mhm.
hungry. When people are like bodybuilding and they're trying to lose weight, they will usually up their protein and reduce something else. So they usually do high protein, low fat, or high carb, low fat, right? But you
Right.
up your protein, you're gonna feel more satiated. You're gonna feel fuller for longer. Textures are very important. You need to chew.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you're just drinking a bunch of smoothies,
yes.
like I'll have a day or two. I'll just do smoothies because my stomach's kind of feeling weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm losing because I've eaten a lot of junk food. I'm like, I need to let my body kind of do its job. Let's just have some smoothies. And I'll have 5 or 6.
Right.
I'll just continue because it's a very low calorie. So I'll have a little more. And again, I don't do juices. I do the full fruit. I don't do fruit juices in mine.
Right.
So made that clear. So there's a lot of fiber in it, but I may do 5 or 6 in a day to keep my calories, and I keep mindful of what it is. So I have my calories and everything. My body, go for it. But proteins, textures, so things that are crunchy and different temperatures. You need these things, right? So your body to
Mhm.
feel satiated. Chewing is very important for satiation. So if you're not, again, to kind of recap, if you're hungry and you're tired on a vegan diet, you were before thinking about going back, or you're that way now, or if you're a friend or family who's saying this, eat more, increase your protein, likely increase your protein, and be mindful of your textures and not just doing smoothies and juices and stuff. You're actually eating crunchy and food that has texture to it.
Yes, I agree. Perfectly said. Question number 12. Will I lose weight if I go vegan? Now I can answer this question for you.
Shit, so can I. God damn.
Let me just tell you this. Sure, you will a little bit. But guess what? You also have to think there's a process to it. Like it doesn't just fall off of you.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go vegan and just lose every bit of extra weight. I am a chunky girl. I'm a curvy lady.
Yeah,
I'm
you
a
are.
thick girl.
Yeah, you are.
And
baby.
I don't give a shit.
That's it.
So yeah, you may look at me and be like, how is that girl vegan? But I am, because I'm a strong, tough lady.
Goddamn Skippy.
Trying to talk good about myself.
You should be.
So yes, of course you could absolutely lose weight on a vegan diet. You can lose weight on a non-vegan diet.
Correct.
It just, as David's about to tell you,
Yeah.
there's a fundamental
Yes.
aspect to it. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So you're saying most people do find, most, not all, find they do lose weight on a plant-based diet because I said earlier it tends to be lower calorie, high nutrition. So when they switch to plant-based diet, they tend to drop their calories lower anyway. Because they're switching. Most people are going to switch out their proteins for vegetables, which again lower calorie. And your proteins, since in like a bean legume tends to be lower in protein count than like a chicken breast or a steak or whatever. You're gonna need more of those. So people tend to go like, oh, I'm having a scoop of beans and a scoop of no, you need like half a can of that, man, or half 3 servings of it, whatever, right? So people tend to naturally eat lower calories on plant-based diets anyway. So they do see weight loss. Just without thinking about it. But the fundamental rule, and again, there's things regarding hormones and age and gender that kind of can affect these numbers, but fundamentally, calories in, calories out, that's how you lose weight. That's it. 3,500 calories equals 1 pound of fat. You need to drop that amount within a week, and you'll lose that many pounds in a week. So it's math. And again, and you can come at me if you want to. Feel free. I'm happy to discuss it. Yes, there are factors such as age, such as gender, and I'm very black and white. And hormone levels, menopause can affect it, all kinds of stuff, right? But calories in, calories out. Can you lose weight on a vegan diet? Absolutely. Can you gain weight on a vegan diet? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What are you eating? Are you eating a bunch of vegan ice cream and Oreos and vegan burgers that have like a bunch of vegan cheese on it? Yeah, you're gonna gain weight on that because you're eating 3 times more calories a day than you should. Right. I'm not trying to attack anybody. Everyone is beautiful. Love yourself. Treat yourself right. I'm just saying, if you're eating a bunch of junk food and a bunch of high calorie foods and you're not exercising, expanding it, yeah, you're gonna gain weight. If you're eating whole food, plant based, low calorie, really tracking it, keeping it out, yeah, you lose weight. You will. It's fundamentals of weight loss: calories in, calories out. Again, that's the basics of it. But yeah, you can lose weight. You can gain weight. Just be mindful what your goals are, what you're comfortable with. If you don't care about weight loss, weight gain, eat. As long as you're full, you're happy, and you're happy with yourself, who cares?
That's right.
That's the main thing about it. Like, don't worry about it so much unless you have a health problem. Then you should be mindful about it.
But don't go vegan because you think you're going to lose a bunch of weight.
Right.
That just doesn't happen.
It does not work that way.
Just so you know.
I can eat
All
Oreos
right.
and lose weight? No. I mean, technically, if that's all you eat is Oreos, then you'd be low calorie, no nutrition. You would lose weight. You'd feel like crap,
Oh my
but
God,
you'd
I
lose weight.
throw up. Too much.
I have a friend who would love that diet, Oreo diet. Oh, she would love it.
All right. Question number 13. Everyone wants to argue with me about this. What should I do? And we have talked a little bit about this, but yes, as I say, if you want to have an argument about it, go for it. If you don't, you don't have to. You're under no obligation to answer anyone's questions.
Mm-hmm.
You're under no obligation to defend yourself. You don't have to engage, but if you want to, be educated while you're engaging, so you sound like so you know what you're talking about. You don't sound like a doofus.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is being educated. There's Dr. Michael Greger. His website, if you look him up on Google, I can't remember his website off the top of my head now, but his YouTube, his website, so much information to the point where like, you can go down a massive rabbit hole. He's almost like the Wikipedia of plant-based diets. So he's an amazing resource. There's so many books out there, so many YouTube videos, so many things. Like we have plenty of episodes of they'll probably cover questions and topics that
Right.
your friends, family, and someone on the street might bring up. But yeah, that's, as Meg said, you're not obligated to defend your diet.
Yeah.
You can just say I don't want to talk about it. Like it's just what I want to eat. I don't want to get into it. You can do that.
Yeah, you absolutely
don't
can.
have-
And I have.
Yeah, it's
At work, I have a lot.
if you don't want to spout off facts, you want to be a smart ass. Have some quips. Have little things you can say, right? Just things you play like, yeah, how about that? Like, oh man, for every tofu you eat, I'm gonna eat a steak. Like, oh, you're special. Like, make them like whatever.
Never heard that before.
Oh, but you're original, huh? Wow, that's awesome. Well, then what if I eat 15 tofus?
Yeah.
30 steaks. Like, just make them like an idiot if you want. You don't have to defend anything. You don't have to argue anything. If you want to be educated on it and spit facts and like knock someone down, say the right thing. Don't say the wrong thing. They can go, well, I went and looked it up, and actually, make sure you're educated on it. And if you want to, have some little smart ass things to say to shut them up. I do that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works with certain people. Just be mindful of who you're talking to.
Yes. Always.
You don't get a fist fight because someone decided they.
Yeah,
like
the
you dead
animals don't
animals.
want you to get a black eye over them. It's
Yeah.
fine. All right, question number 14. Do I have to become a master chef to be vegan? This is a great question.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
No.
I don't even enjoy cooking for the most part. It is not my favorite thing in the world to do.
Oh, hey now.
You might hear a dog barking.
Ah.
Please excuse.
It's not mine this
everyone.
time. Usually mine are going
It's
crazy.
fine. I know. I'm just gonna do it. Okay. I'm gonna reference Peggy again because she's my favorite. So Peggy, I think it's Brousseau that we interviewed way back in the day. She is the one who kind of got me to love being a little vegan in the kitchen more than I ever have before. Because she talks about making cooking like art. So looking at your ingredients as a palette and you're making an art piece by what you're creating. It doesn't have to be like, a fancy Picasso. It could be the artwork that your child makes. Meaning you could make a half-assed meal and be happy and be full, and you don't have to make some elaborate, enormous meal to be vegan. Absolutely not.
No, I mean, like last week, I didn't feel like I was like I'm hungry, but I don't like want to cook anything. So I literally just was like, well, I got ground this, I got like the veggie crumbles, some beans, some bell peppers, onions. I feel like having like a Italian thing. So I was like basil and veggie
Nice.
stock. I literally lit it to a boil, turned the heat down, and just let it simmer until it was the consistency I liked, and ate that with a sandwich. That's it. And it took me like no time.
Right.
Literally today, I was working, like kind of worked through lunch, wasn't paying attention. I was like, well, I'm hungry, I should eat something, and it's too late to order, blah, blah, blah. So I had the Boca vegan chicken panties in the freezer. 2 of those on bread, like sauce on it, chips and salsa.
Yummy.
It was good. Was it like the most nutritious thing? No, but I was like, no, it's got tomatoes and onions, and it's got
Yeah.
peppers and corn chips, and had a protein and a carbohydrate. And so I mean, it wasn't the best. It's probably a little lower in calories than I needed for the time, but it filled me up, and I wasn't master chefed it. I literally took me.
Exactly.
It took me as long to make that as the air fryer took to heat up the little chicken patties.
Right. And you
10
can
minutes.
cook a quick meal and then one night do something nicer. It's
Yeah.
something fancier that you spend more time on. You could also be like David and I, where we use purple carrot a lot, which also eliminates like a lot of thought. You're just following directions. So you don't have to be a master chef.
Even with that, I'll cut corners on making that stuff.
Me too.
Like saute the broccoli, and then it's all going in the air fryer. You figure it out. Or like steam or fry this. I'm like, or like have like the green beans. I'll say like pan fry the green beans. Like nope. When I make rice, I'll put them in my little rice cooker. Has a little fork thing on top for steaming. Put the green beans in that. Cover it up. Boom,
Oh,
green beans are cooked.
nice.
So I'll cut corners on that to make it even faster.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It still comes. The sauce is what really makes that sometimes. Like the little sauces they have with it. Oh, I love sauce.
You are a
Um,
sauce guy.
I really am. Yeah, but I mean, again, but some people have found that switching to plant-based diet is kind of rejuvenates and brings back that love and excitement for cooking,
Yes.
which is great because you tend to open you up to new spices and sauces and veggies and proteins. So it may actually help you out in that context. But by no means you have to be a master chef. Just main thing is that you're eating healthy.
And I
Absolutely.
do agree with like the going vegan really does make you try vegetables and fruits and things that you never would have before. Um, for instance, I've told this story before, but like I love random fruits and I just eat all the fruits I possibly can. So they're not weird to me anymore. They're very common. All the fruits are common to me, but to people that I work with, they're not common. So one time I brought a red dragon fruit to work and just placed it in the fridge. And I had like 3 or 4 visitors throughout the day going, "What is that thing in the fridge? We know it's yours." And I'm like, "Oh, of course you do." Shut up. But
What freak
I
brought this?
I could have just had a banana, blah blah blah. But I love trying different like fruits and vegetables that I never have before, including making dragon fruit so common that it's normal to me. And it never even occurred to me that the whole office would be like, "What is that?" Southerners, try some new vegetables and fruits, please. Good grief. Okay, last question. My parents or partner won't let me go vegan. What can I do? Oh, this is a dilemma.
Yeah, I think it really depends. If you have a partner or a parent, or a guardian, what have you, if it's reasonable, it's like they're either unsure, like, well, I don't know how to be. Usually because they worry about how it'll affect them more than anything else, whether it
Yes.
affects going out to dates or like the grocery bill or like time in the
Dinners.
kitchen, cooking, all this. I don't know how to cook tofu. How am I cook, oh my god, whatever, right? If they're reasonable and you can talk to them about their concerns, it might make sense. Like, oh, there's plenty of places nearby. Here's 5 restaurants nearby that we love going to
Right.
that have options for date nights. I'll cook the tofu. I'll cook the tempeh. I'll handle that part.
Right.
I'll take on the cooking responsibility for my stuff. If they're
Right.
reasonable, you might be able to make them understand. But usually it's like because they're unsure, right?
Yes.
And they're just
So
like
educate them.
they're scared. Like, oh no, there's so much more going on now that I got to figure out. Like, no, it's okay. You're gonna have and you usually have to take some sort of burden on, whether it be a physical burden of cooking or providing options or financial. Like, any extra bill, anything that comes in extra bill,
Yeah.
I'll pay difference. We normally have on our food bills, right? Um, if the person you're with is not reasonable, usually because you're living with your parents, and your parents are like, "I'm not gonna do this. That's stupid." Um, you might have to compromise. You might say like,
Right.
"Okay, well, what about vegetarian?" Or well, what about pescatarian? Maybe you can start eliminating things to the point where they're like, maybe you could kind of wear them down, whatever.
Right. And
Um,
then when you're not at that home, you can eat whatever you want.
yeah, absolutely. If you're able, if like you're like like I've known people in like our Facebook groups who had the issue where their parents were like, they won't do it. Like, okay, well, I have a job. What if I just like, what if I bought the thing and then you cooked it, but I paid for it, so you don't have to worry about the extra food costs.
Right.
So yeah, and like you said, if you're go out on your own doing your own thing, then you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
So which is so yeah, so that can be beneficial. But yeah, if you have someone you can reason with, try to understand that they're just concerned how either it'll affect them or affect the household or affect the relationship. Find out what they're concerned about, and you're gonna have to compromise. You're gonna have to work with them and give them the answers so they feel more comfortable. If they're not reasonable, they're not willing to work with you, you might have to compromise and say like, not go full on, but maybe you can go towards pescatarian or like I said, vegetarian. Find out where they're comfortable with and move towards that comfortability. And you'll find once people start working with you and you work with them, they're more inclined to make more
Yep.
concessions and adjust than just being
Yeah.
hard set and that's all I want to do.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Perfectly said. And I hope there's not a lot of people that encounter this, but I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's, teenagers and kids that encounter parents that don't want them to go vegan. But I hope your partners aren't like that. So if you're making this very important decision in your life and they aren't on board, like David said, try to reason with them. And that just means educating them. Just like you had to educate yourself, you can use that same material to educate them. That doesn't mean they have to go vegan with you, but just so they know where you got your information from, that it's a reliable source, that you have looked into it and you're not just jumping into something random without any knowledge. Like, show them you know what you're talking about, and people will be more likely to trust you and be on board. But like David said, take on some of that burden yourself, and then they'll be like, okay, well, I guess it's not going to change my life too much, so what do I care? Right? If you can get to that point, then that's usually where they'll be like, well, look how happy they are when they eat vegan.
Right.
Oh, okay, I guess I could support this. Like, it is kind of, sometimes you do have to wear them down. So hopefully the answer to that question helps you and the rest of these questions. That was 15 common questions that new vegans have. I think we covered a lot. And a lot of this is also covered in other episodes. So we mentioned probably 5 or 6 other episodes you guys could go listen to as well to dive more into some of these questions. And of course, as always, we want to know if you have any other questions that you had when you first went vegan, or you have as you were making that transition, that we did not include in this list. So how do you let us know? You can email us at theaveragevegans@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram or Facebook at The Average Vegans. You can obviously listen to this episode and all other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. Please leave a review, begging you. Recommend us to anyone and everyone. Show notes, links, and more can be found at theaveragevegans.com. And of course, we want to hear from you guys. You are going to hear, or you probably already have, you've already heard our interview with one of our fans that wrote into us. So if you are interested in being on the podcast, just send us a message. We would love that. That's amazing. But that's it for this week, guys.
All right. Well, until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.